You are standing in your kitchen and you have no idea why. You crossed the hallway a moment ago with a clear, specific purpose. Somewhere between one room and the next, that purpose simply evaporated. You have probably blamed your memory, or your age, or your phone. All three of those explanations are wrong, and the real one is stranger. Your brain deleted that thought on purpose as part of a working system. And that system is not really about doorways at all. It is about something quietly happening to every hour of your life. In 2011, a psychologist at the University of Notre Dame tested this properly. His name is Gabriel Radvansky, and the setup he used was deliberately simple. Volunteers moved through a series of rooms while carrying an object. Sometimes they picked something up and put it down inside the same room. Other times they carried that object through a doorway before putting it down. Then Radvansky asked them a plain question about what they had been holding. The volunteers who had walked through a doorway remembered noticeably worse. This next part is the part that matters, so hold on to it. Both groups had walked the same distance to reach the same place. Both groups had spent almost exactly the same amount of time walking. The only variable that changed between them was the doorway itself. Radvansky ran the study in virtual rooms and then again in real ones. The effect appeared in both, and he named it the location updating effect. Then he tested something that should have worked, and it failed. Memory has a well-established rule known as context-dependent recall. Return to the place where you learned something, and it tends to come back. In a famous 1975 study, divers memorized word lists while underwater. Those divers recalled the lists better underwater than they did on dry land. So Radvansky sent his volunteers back into the room they had started in. Their memory did not recover, and going back did not undo the loss. Whatever the doorway had done, it was not ordinary context loss. Something had been closed behind them, and walking back did not reopen it. For a decade, that finding traveled the internet as settled science. Then, in 2021, a team at Bond University in Australia tried to repeat it. They ran 4 separate experiments across virtual rooms and real ones. For the most part, the doorway effect refused to show up at all. Their volunteers walked through doors and remembered perfectly well. The effect only surfaced when researchers deliberately overloaded people first. When the brain was already near its limits, the doorway pushed it over. When the brain had room to spare, the doorway did almost nothing. Published honestly, that result does not destroy the story we are telling. It relocates it, and the relocation is the whole point of this video. The doorway was never the cause of your forgetting in the first place. The doorway is a symptom, and it is a symptom of something much larger. To see the thing underneath it, you have to stop looking at doors. You have to look at how your brain handles time itself. You experience your life as one continuous, unbroken stream of moments. Your brain does not store it that way, and it never has. Work by Jeffrey Sachs at Washington University describes what actually happens. Your brain chops that continuous stream into discrete, bounded events. Researchers call these divisions event boundaries, and you cross them constantly. Finishing a meal is a boundary, and so is ending a phone call. Getting into a car is a boundary, and so is a scene change in a film. Walking through a doorway is simply one of the most obvious ones. This is not a metaphor or a convenient way of describing memory. When people watch films inside a scanner, their brains show it directly. At each boundary, activity surges across a whole network of regions. Sachs argues your brain is constantly predicting what happens next. Most of the time, those predictions quietly succeed, and you notice nothing at all. A boundary is the moment a prediction fails badly enough to matter. The model you are holding no longer fits the room in front of you, so your brain discards that model and builds a fresh one to replace it. Ask those same viewers to press a button whenever one event ends. Different people press at strikingly similar moments without being told what to look for. The segmentation is automatic, involuntary, and almost identical between strangers. And unlike the doorway result, this finding has held up extremely well. Your brain is running a cut over and over all day long. In 2018, researchers in Cambridge looked at exactly when that cut lands. They scanned people watching films and tracked the hippocampus closely. The hippocampus is the structure that commits experience into long-term memory. They expected it to respond as each new event began. Instead, the hippocampus fired its strongest burst at the end of each event, not at the opening of the new chapter, but at the closing of the old one. The researchers titled their paper "The Hippocampal Film Editor," and the name fits. Your brain appears to wait until an event is finished before filing it. It watches the scene play out, decides the scene is over, then saves. So consider what that means for you, standing in the kitchen. You formed an intention in the living room, inside one particular chapter. Then you crossed a boundary, and your brain closed that chapter and filed it. The intention was never lost, and it was never damaged. It was archived, correctly and efficiently, one chapter behind where you now stand. This is also why forgetting is not the failure you assume it is. A brain that never cleared anything would drown in irrelevant detail. Researchers increasingly argue that forgetting is an active feature of memory. The system is not breaking when it does this, it is working. But a system built on chapters has one strange and unavoidable consequence. If your life stops producing boundaries, it stops producing chapters. Think back to the long stretches of lockdown a few years ago. The same room, the same walls, the same view, day after day. Surveys during that period found widespread distortions in how people felt time. Many described whole months collapsing into something they could barely recall. We should be careful here because this connection is not yet proven. But it could be that a life with fewer boundaries lays down fewer chapters. And a year with fewer chapters might leave very little for you to replay. This might also explain a puzzle you have noticed on long trips. A week somewhere new can feel enormous when you look back at it. The same 7 days at home leave almost nothing behind to recall. Identical stretches of time holding wildly different amounts of retrievable life. If that is right, then the reverse of it is genuinely useful. Novelty is not just pleasant, it may be how you manufacture boundaries. A new route home, an unfamiliar room, a trip somewhere you have never been. Each of those gives your brain a reason to start a fresh chapter. More chapters means more of the year survives as something you can revisit. Time does not actually slow down when your life gets more varied. Your record of it simply gets longer and denser and easier to reach. So the next time you freeze in a doorway, notice what actually happened. That blankness is not decay, and it is not something going wrong. It is the sound of a chapter closing quietly behind you. Your brain finished the scene and did exactly what it was built to do. Which makes the real question a far more interesting one than you expected. Where does your life put its doorways, and how many did you cross today? Tell me in the comments because I genuinely want to know. And for more of what your body does without asking you first, subscribe.